Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Barrens Chat podcast. I'm Sod, and with me tonight is my co-host Guck. This is a podcast about World of Warcraft by two guys who play it. And Guck, here we are. The world is essentially on lockdown, at least the Western world. Blizzard announced 100% XP boost in retail WoW for at least until the middle of April, which is great. How'd your week in WoW and in gaming go?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like this week wasn't huge on WoW. I mean, we've touched on all of the new things in Classic, right? We've got Arathi Basin, which is a lot of fun. It's something new. It's something that's getting people thinking and playing into the PvP battleground system, which is good because it helps fix the queue problem. So obviously, there's a lot of queuing problems in different servers. I know on mine, on Crom Crush, we still have hour-plus long queues for AV. And this is something that people, depending on when they got access to it, you may really want to get into AV to grind up Exalted and get those those purples that you get from an Exalted rep. But, it's been good, but it's stuff that hasn't really changed. Like we're still farming BWL, we're doing MC and Oni faster, trying to combine those things into the same night. We've got a lot of, unofficial PvP events. But in Classic, everything's really died down quite a bit. We do have ZG coming up. That's going to be in, I would say, 2 weeks from when this episode releases, because the week after it's going to be the 31st. I think the next week we get it. I'm not totally certain. I'll have to see. So about 2 to 3 weeks we can expect ZG. But again, that's not something that your entire guild is going to do. I'm excited for that reason, because I want to get into these like smaller, more intimate, like mini raids, like mega dungeons, whatever, however you want to describe it. But just to have that time with my closer group of friends within the guild, because like in every group of 40, you're not going to be super close with everyone. So it's going to be a fun opportunity to just get with the people that I've gotten close to, like the other Fury Warriors that I enjoy, some of the good rogue DPS, some of our best casters, like one of the funny healers, and one of the effective tanks, like, and just kind of go through with that mentality. So I am excited for that, but last week plus the 2 weeks in the future, that's like 3 weeks of pretty low content available in Classic. I just didn't get that much done. I wasn't doing that much in Classic. I have been grinding these dungeons for so long. Like I don't want to go back to BRD arena runs. I don't want to keep doing undead strat. So I've just kind of taken a break a bit. And I know this past week rather, you got into that new BG that dropped. Not a WoW BG, but the Battlegrounds, the COD Battleground, right?
Yeah, I love it. I've been pretty much spamming it. I have been playing a lot of WoW, doing various activities, mostly leveling. But Warzone, I have a ton of fun with. COD, I feel like, is more noob friendly, especially with the Warzone. Like I'm really bad at like PUBG. I'm like probably subpar at Apex, so like this, I'm actually not that bad at Warzone, so I'm having a ton of fun playing it, and I just think it's probably the most well done battle royale game out there, especially for a genre that I don't like.
I was going to say, one of the things that I think is cool about that game, which will probably get old very quickly for some people, is just like how many opportunities that your teammates have to come back in. So from the team perspective, like if you're playing a BG with friends and you're like out first, or one of your friends is out first and it's like really early in the match, you're not going to be playing together for a while. If, like, let's say you drop in, one of you gets the absolute best kit that you could get, the other guy gets nothing and dies right away. If there's no mechanic to get back into the game, you either have to abandon that good kit that you picked up and just like roll another game, or you have to play it solo, like old school in PUBG you'd have to. And then, Apex came in and you could bring your people back. That was a really smart system. And now with Warzone, there's like the prison, and there's like different levels. Then you can come back in. What's that like?
Yeah, so like you're never out of the game as long as somebody on your team is still on the map, which is awesome, right? I mean, you can all get wiped early, go to the gulag, and then one of you has a good gulag, or all three of you, you come back, and then you don't have access to the gulag anymore. But as long as your team either comes out victorious in the fight, or one of your guys lives by like fleeing, he can buy you back in the game. So I think that's awesome. It keeps the team engaged. It isn't like, ah man, there's only one of us left. Let's just leave. So you're always in the game, which I think is great. It's just cool. It's cool because it's not a running simulator, right? They have contracts on the ground, so you could pick them up and do objectives while you're running around the map, and looking for people. You can get bounties to try to find and kill a specific player to get money to buy a loadout, or buy a kill streak like a UAV or an airstrike. So it keeps you engaged with that and keeps you moving around. So it's not like PUBG where you could run for like 20 minutes and then you just get sniped and you die and it's over, right? That's the most anticlimactic, like most boring way to end a game, and it just makes it not fun at all. You could definitely still get sniped, but at least you're not out of the game. And it has a way to counteract like camping and sniping and stuff like that, like lens flare and stuff like that. So uh, it's so awesome. It's really cool to play, and I have been spamming it a lot, so especially since I haven't been working and stuff like that. And it looks like I'm at the very least not going to be working for the next 2 weeks, and who knows how much longer it'll go on for. But
Fully free to play.
yeah, free to play, so you don't have to own Call of Duty for it either. So it's that. I mean, if your PC can run it or you have a console, you can download it on console for free too. So uh, definitely look into it. I mean, you have time, right? There's a lot of people have time. I'm sure a lot of people work from home. I'm not one of those people, but if you get time and you're into the battle royales a little bit, check it out. I know a lot of people are playing it right now, so it's definitely something to look into. That also being said, something that people of this podcast are probably into, especially the retail players, 100% XP boost, right? No brainer, right? Level those alts up, get whatever done you need to get done. And I was saying in Discord with my buddies the other day, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm on WoW. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm leveling in a character. He goes, do you really have another character to level? I was like, no, not really, but I'm going for the heritage armors, man. Got to unlock them. Might as well.
Yeah, now is the time to do it. I mean, if you're getting tired of WoW, Warzone's one of those cool alternatives that has just sprung up on the scene, and I think it's a good way to dump some of your time if you're getting burnt out on WoW. But if you aren't, yeah, man, this 100% bonus XP that stacks with heirlooms is one of the best remedies for the altaholics, for the people who want to have a whole bunch of different classes and specs ready to go into Shadowlands. This is the one thing that people really can benefit from as far as WoW players during these trying times.
Yeah, and based on my experience, so I've gone from like level 52, about 85 right now, and I've been questing slash dungeoning a little bit. Every once in a while I get in the zone when I'm questing and I'll cancel the dungeon queue. I'm queuing up as a DPS, so it takes a little longer. And I kind of like that because, if I'm a tank or a healer and I'm getting instant queues, it feels way more grindy. Whereas, like, if I'm questing, I can kind of get lost in it and just get in the zone and do that. So I'm queuing as DPS. One thing I did note, so if you get to level 70 or level 60 and you hit the Burning Crusade Wrath of the Lich King area, don't queue for Burning Crusade dungeons. For some reason, I don't know why, but like Wrath of the Lich King and Burning Crusade dungeons, right? You can go to either area at level 60. And last time I did it, I went to Boron Tundra, so this time I went to Hellfire Peninsula just to mix it up. And you can't queue for both dungeons at the same time, so you have to pick one or the other. So I did Wrath. The queue was about 10 minutes, and I went in fine. Nobody's queuing up for Burning Crusade dungeons, so it's important to note, don't waste your time if you're queuing up for dungeons. Queuing up for those, it's a waste. So do the Wrath dungeons and quest wherever your heart desires. That's something to note. And in the Cataclysm era, I found a group for a Mist of Pandaria dungeon. I haven't searched for Cataclysm yet, but just keep that in mind. I know, like, maybe everybody's doing specific dungeons because they're faster. I know Wrath was pretty notorious for having short dungeons, so that's probably why a lot of people are doing those instead of Burning Crusade. But ton of fun. I also did Arena this week. I did it on an alt healer, so I was gathering a few of the essences to the I forget the currency to unlock the essences, so I don't have enough to unlock rank 3 yet. But I'm definitely noticing how undergeared my shaman is when I go into the arenas, and I'm like 200k HP lower than a lot of the geared players. Still having fun, but it's definitely a handicap I have to work through.
Yeah, I wonder if there is a very clearly set out meta for getting through your levels. There are probably guides out there that may be ahead of the curve on what ways to get through to the end. So like in Classic, for example, most people thought that Joanna's hunter strategy would be the thing that would do it and get the first 60, but clearly that was based off of vanilla ideology, that not the classic ideology. In classic, it was all about mage AOE, farming trash pulls, farming ZF, farming whatever it was, but just like large mage AOE stuff. And that's how Joker ended up getting the first level 60 by a long shot. So I'm curious, like maybe we have the same kind of gatekeeping in retail where the truly fastest method of going from 1 to 120 or whatever it seems to be is something that maybe like the high end mythic guys really keep, close to the chest. I don't know, but I would bet that there's definitely at least a meta, and if you get involved in that meta, whether it's a specific dungeon, a specific era of dungeons, a specific zone for questing, whatever it is, you can get yourself on the same track as other people, and that too will help your dungeon queues, getting through quests, whatever it is, by finding people who are on that same kind of meta path.
Yeah, also too, I've noticed a lot of people are out taking advantage of this bonus XP, which is awesome. Seeing people out in the world that you wouldn't normally see. It's actually pretty packed with both Horde and Alliance, so that's actually really cool. Like if you're just walking around questing in an area and you find somebody the same level as you, maybe you do an entire zone as a quest with you too. And another thing I like to work on while I'm leveling is there are guides out there, like Azeroth Autopilot is probably the best one if you're trying to level quickly. I've definitely used it. It's great. I enjoy it, but this time around I'm not doing it. And I actually looked at my Lore Master achievements and I picked the zones that I don't have Lore Master in yet, and that's where I've gone and quested. And I kind of go through all the zones and I try to make it like a little more worth my while to finish a zone and do that. So next time, the next character I level, because I have a lot of heritage armors to get, I'll just pick the opposite zones and maybe I'll get Lore Master. Who knows?
Yeah, that's a really good point. One of the things that we mentioned kind of right before the episode started rolling, we were thinking about why Blizzard hasn't rolled out maybe even a specific individual alpha for Shadowlands, right? So we know that there's probably a friends and family Shadowlands alpha that's already out for testing, and assuming that Blizzard could function in some manner from home, they could use all of this time where everyone else is stuck at home to get those bugs lined up so that when they go back to full operating speed, they have a lot of stuff to fix inside the alpha. My cynical view of this is since they haven't rolled it out, it's not ready. Because obviously this would be a really opportune time. So, yeah, Sod, what were your thoughts on that? Do you think that they're not ready to release a Shadowlands alpha? Is it going to be delayed? What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, so you got to believe if they haven't released anything yet, I mean, obviously Alpha is going to go out to a select few people that it's not ready, which is really unfortunate because, a lot of people, content creators that have other jobs, right, that do that as a second job or a hobby, they have plenty of time on their hands because, people are really going out as little as possible, right? So this is a ton of time where people are at home playing video games, and it would be really great for Blizzard to get data on bug reports and just play testing and all that. So unfortunate the alpha isn't out, and I'm curious as to how much working from home affects that. I would imagine it has to affect it in some capacity, and it's just got to be not ready yet, right? So with that assumption, it's already almost April. Hard to see launch for Shadowlands at the end of the year, maybe they could pull it off, but that's such a short amount of time to alpha and beta test, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it makes me skeptical. I hope it comes out sooner rather than later. I wish I was out this week because I'd be grinding, but it's not. We'll see. I don't know. I don't think they want to release anything new right while nobody's in the office, or at least very few people are in the office. I just think it would be really hard to handle the stress and all the information that would come in. You know what I mean? With like bugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, to do the launch of the alpha servers itself would require some on-site service at some element. I mean, maybe they could do like a skeleton crew, but I think in California, I'm not sure that if Blizzard stuff is deemed a non-essential service and they've already called off the non-essential businesses, they probably have no choice but to not be able to go in there and do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. There's probably a large element of that, but what you're mentioning now, so coronavirus or not, if they are delayed, right? Because like you said, it's basically April. Without an alpha out now, we've got to go through the alpha phase. We've got to go through the beta phase. I'm not exactly sure how long BFA's alpha and beta were, but they were very short. And we see what happens when you don't have a lot of play testing up front. I don't know. Do you remember how long it took, the alpha and beta for BFA?
I want to say Alpha came out early in the year. That's a good question. I think it came out early in the year, and then obviously they beta tested a few months later, and the game was released in August. But it was all in the same calendar year. I know that.
Right. So I think so. They had less than 8 months. I think they used no more than 7 months. We'll say. So if we go by that assumption, we haven't seen an alpha yet. It's basically April. We're not going to see Shadowlands in 2020 if that's the case. And if we do see a Shadowlands in 2020, it's either going to be rushed or incomplete, or there might be some major issue in it that would basically make players be like, oh, great, they didn't fix BFA. They've got another rushed product out that's not going to be even as good as Legion was, and people might sign off. So we have to really kind of hope. I personally would rather get Shadowlands in 2021, however late it needs to be, and have it be free and clear of these cancerous, grindy systems, better itemization, simpler itemization, better rewards for raiding, less of a random reward that kind of lets someone who does normal or LFR only get gear that allows them to walk into a mythic raid. I feel like there should be some form of like skill necessary in order to get through these tiers. Like normal should mean something, heroic should mean something, but right now they just don't really mean anything. It's like either you mythic raid or you don't do anything. I would like to see so much happen in Shadowlands that I'm totally okay with it being pushed back to 2021.
Yeah, so I have the information right here. Alpha started in February of 2018. Beta started April 24th, 2018, and the game itself released in August. So, and they announced the release date in April. So, I mean, right now they're running like a month and a half, 2 months behind where Battle for Azeroth was. And like you said, you definitely want them to test properly and have enough testing time, too. And another thing too, I'd like them to listen to the community too on the testing, right? Like anybody that consumes WoW content and watches those YouTube channels that all play test the beta and whatnot, they were all saying how bad Azerite was from the beginning, and they launched with that system. They didn't change anything, and they launched with it, and they got a lot of heat for it throughout this entire expansion.
If they do something like that in Shadowlands, like let's say they start an alpha and then they're so set on getting Shadowlands out like November, December, sometime before the holiday season, and they're like, screw it, we'll just stick on the BFA timetable, do 6 or 7 months and just get it out. That I could totally see that happening, right? If they get feedback that's like, hey, you need to change this system, it's terrible, but the Activision overlords are like, no, you have to release this by Christmas. we'll see another BFA. But if it happens to be that, okay, we get Shadowlands Alpha, there are systems that suck, they change it and they have time to do it, that to me is like a early 2021 release of Shadowlands, which I wouldn't be opposed to. I don't think that's a bad thing. To wait longer for a game that's better, like that's fine. The only downside to that is that retail players will only have 8.3 for that much longer.
Yeah, I think it's not so much the systems, right? Like the game can launch with a couple bugs, right? That's fine. I don't think anybody expects a perfect launch. We certainly didn't get that with BFA, and they launched it for the entire world at the same time. And I thought BFA's launch overall went pretty smoothly, unless you were on one of the massive servers, right? Like Illidan or Terran Mill for Europe, right? But it's the systems that they launch with, and just based on what they're saying, I'm hopeful for what Shadowlands is. Definitely skeptical, and we'll just see how it beta tests. And it, I obviously you and I both consume a lot of WoW content, so I trust a lot of the people that I watch and their opinions, and I've always gone into every game with an open mind, but I always come out like a month or two later, at least with WoW, and I say that wow, those guys that were playtesting were right.
I'm going to kind of hold my opinion. I'm going to reserve my judgment of the game definitely after incorporating some of the content creators' opinions. Obviously, I want to play it myself, incorporate that. One of the things that we'll probably end up doing, I know I've felt like I need to do this, and we've mentioned it in episodes past. I'm going to go back and actually dive through the Shadowlands stuff that we mentioned, and then we can have another episode where we reopen it and kind of rediscuss things, hopefully in a more optimistic light. I feel like we've had so many pessimistic episodes where we're just like, I don't have faith in Blizzard. They've ruined so much. They've ruined Diablo. There are so many dead franchises. They're going to kill WoW next. But there are good things coming. When they talked about Shadowlands, it was exciting. The cinematic was inviting enough. Like I want to go and check out this other parallel realm or whatever we're going to call the Shadowlands, right? Like I saw Sylvanas tear the veil. I want to go up there and check it out. Like I'm in. So I want to give it an optimistic second look. We go through the systems that they introduce. We talk about the covenants. We talk about the things that we liked again, and just kind of like reprime our brains on some Blizzard positivity because we've had so little.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's a good idea, and it's something to look forward to in the next couple weeks for sure, especially while we're in like somewhat of a content drought. I will say this: the classic is still very healthy. I logged on the other day. I am gonna try while I'm on this sort of work hiatus to maybe get another 60, one that I enjoy playing more than my mage, and maybe maybe raid on that. Definitely PvP and try to enjoy that. Bring more classic content to you guys, and I'm just really pumped for what I am really pumped. As negative as we do get here, I'm really pumped for the future of WoW, and I think it hopefully is headed in the right direction.
Yeah, and unfortunately, only time will tell. We just kind of have to wait. We have to wait it out. All right, so here's a little treat for those of you who have actually lasted this long in the episode. I don't know how many people actually listen. This is so before I dive into this tangent, I'm going to start with this tangent. I might have a tinfoil hat on, but I kind of think that Podbean, our podcast hosting service, artificially inflates our views because we love you guys and everyone who tweets at us, and we've gotten a couple emails and we've gotten some reviews on Apple Podcast, but it's like there are so many views that they say we have, and it just doesn't translate to any of the other platforms. So if you're someone who listens to the show but you haven't reviewed us, you haven't dropped a comment or a follow, whatever it is, a tweet, throw us something. We want to know that you're out there. We want to know that you're listening. We want to engage with our listeners. Partially because when we do that, it gives us content. We get to answer questions. We get stuff to talk about. You guys get to hear our responses direct to your questions live on the episode. But it also gives us a little bit of a feeling of like, how good are we doing? I feel like some episodes are good and we'll get a couple tweets and we'll get some kind of engagement off of it. But there are so many episodes where we put out and then it's just silence. But then you'll check the Podbean metrics and it's like, oh, well, this episode got so many downloads. I just don't know if it's real or not. So if you listen and you like it or you hate it, whatever it is, react somehow. Tweet at us at Barrens Chat Pod. Let us know whatever is convenient for you. If it's rating in the Apple Podcast app, whatever it is, all that stuff helps us, continues the project, all that good nonsense. Anyways, outside of that, first tangent done. Second tangent, I've got a nonsense question that a friend asked. They are not into WoW, but they are into it enough to think of a good meme question. And the question they thought of is who would pull the most as far as the main WoW characters. Obviously, it would be like some Alliance character that I have no clue who it is. But I'm going to say only Horde side, it would definitely be Lorthamar. Lorthamar's the OG Mac Daddy. He pulls so? All the... Oh, yeah. He's like the Silver Fox, right? He's like a war veteran. He's a baller, dude. Plus, yeah, he's the most humanoid.
Elf. Yeah. I'm going to say Bane's laying that pipe like a champ.
Dude, well, I mean, we know Bane and Anduin... There might be something going on there where the two of them are laying each other's pipes.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, hey, I don't know. I didn't see that cutscene specifically, but it was alluded to. I'm just going to leave that there.
Yeah, I'd say Bane and what the hell's the spy guy on
Shaw?
The Alliance.
Matthias Shaw, I think?
Yeah, there you go. That's it. You know those spies, James Bond, are always getting after it.
Oh yeah, dude! Aren't they like? Isn't there the name for the spy syndicate is like SI7 or something like that?
Yeah, SI7. Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing on it. There you
go. The master of spies.
Yes, the spy who shagged me. All that stuff. I'm sure it's worked in.
He is M for Anduin.
All right,
James Bond.
That's all the nonsense that I have. Just a little bit of craziness to fill you guys in at the end. We in these trying times, we hope to bring you guys some normalcy. So yeah, next episode, hopefully we'll find some like positive Shadowlands stuff to talk about, kind of brighten this shitty time up.
Yeah, that and if you tweet at me at Saudi LOL and you want to play WoW, let me know because I can hop on. I'll do some keys. I'll level with you. I'll do whatever you want. Like I'm always looking for people to play WoW with, and I think I'm going to transfer my Warlock back to its regular server, and I might even try to look for a guild. Definitely, I have tons of free time now, so I'm definitely trying to be more active in the WoW community, and I'm actively looking for like an RBG team to play with or just something like that. So if you know anything about that, definitely tweet at me because I'm definitely down for any of that.
Yeah, we're based off of Malgana's server, but I mean with retail you don't really have to be on our server to do anything unless it's being a guild. So yeah, definitely hit us up. If you're on Crom Crush, hit us up. That's where we're reigning in Classic.
Yes.
So yeah, we're always down for that.
And I can play Alliance too. I do have 120 alliances, so you Alliance folk don't hesitate either.
All right, I think that's kind of it for this week. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
Nope. Keep it up, people that are playing retail. I see you out there in the world. I see Azeroth is alive right now, and I love it, so keep that up.
Yeah, keep it up. Same thing with Classic. Everyone keep lagging out Orgrimmar. I love it. I love waiting 2 to 3 minutes for my buff to drop. I mean, obviously I hate it because I'm losing like some buff. Some buff is ticking down, but it's a sign that the game is healthy and it's alive and that my server has a bunch of people organizing and getting ready to commit to Classic WoW, which is awesome. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Always, you guys are appreciated. Everyone who's already written in, you guys are the best. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Tweet at us at BarrensChatPod. Check out the website, barrenschat.podbean.com. And we will see you guys next week.